Oh, this is the Cluster API Provider AWS meeting of February 8th, 2021 as part of the Kubernetes SIG Cluster lifecycle. Please be aware we're abiding by the CNCF Code of Conduct. Be excellent to each other. It's fairly sparse attendance. So should we kick this off? PSAs. Yeah, the release notes plugin.
Yeah, yeah, it's been enabled in Prowl. So, and the template updated in our repo, the PR template that is. So, yeah, it does require you to include that block now for any PRs, and it will block merging until you explicitly state, no, I don't have a release note, i.e. none, or yes, I have released it, this is what it is, and or there is action required as well. So, and actually related to that, today I've been looking at the automation that will sit behind that to rip all those out as part of the release, and we can just basically reuse the Kubernetes release. They've got a release notes command, CLI util that give them two tags essentially. It'll get all the PRs from it, the release notes out, and create a markdown document or JSON file that we can use. So it's all good.
That's super cool. I think might even be worth putting it on the agenda for the CAPI upstream meeting. One of us can take that and see if we want to do that on the main cluster API repo. I know it will make SIG release happy if we're all using the same tooling. So
yeah, cool. Yeah, I'll get it working first. So I had got it working locally just on my own machine against my own repos. But yeah, I'll get it working on our one. Hopefully tomorrow.
That's super cool. It's really cool. All right. I've changed the agenda, but I've just put the review action items. We had created a new doc outside corporate Google Workspace, update code community. That is done. Thanks to Lubomir and Dim for sorting that out for me. I did not create an issue for the AMI CRD, so that will roll over onto the action items. And where are we with the E2E test failures?
I've started to look into it, but I haven't made much progress. I've probably raised more additional issues and not actually fixed that one, but it's something I'm looking at currently. Pardon me.
Yeah, it's fine. Cool. Me and Steph put the same items, or two items, or the same. So the first of all is Steph made a change to the proposal with the multi-tenancy. Do you want to talk us through that, Steph?
Yeah. So previously we were not limiting all the users to access controller credentials. We had no CRDs blocking that. So we added AWS cluster controller principle so that we can only allow a set of namespaces to access controller principles, similar to static principles and role principles. So by this way, we have a namespace level, at least security.
Do you want to do you want to talk about that sort of singleton thing and like how we do the deployment and how we handle the case of upgrades, just briefly?
Yeah, so as Nadir suggested, we are creating that new CRD as a singleton because we only need to have one of that object because there's only one controller credentials. Since we do not know, since we are currently using a default provider chain, we actually do not, we do not know which credentials are being used by the controller. So it will be only containing allowed namespaces and a name. We also made it again cluster scoped so that only users that has access to create objects in the cluster scope will be able to create it. Also, for the upgrade, not to break existing clusters. For example, the existing AWS clusters will not have a principal ref. So with the defaulting webhooks, we are going to default their principal ref to this new singleton controller principle, so that existing clusters will continue to operate using controller's principle. And users during upgrade has to create this new object and make sure that they allow namespaces that they want to allow the usage of controller principle from.
Yeah, and finally, we're going for V1 Alpha 3. We will include the blank blank singleton, so which will default to allowing all namespaces, right?
Which will default to what?
We will include in infrastructure components
Yes.
a definition that includes all namespaces, so
Yes.
that on upgrade it doesn't break.
Yes.
And it's immutable as well, so it won't get overwritten.
So for so for being immutable, what if I mean users want to change the namespace, allow namespaces later? I mean, are we sure we wanna make it immutable?
They would have to delete and recreate it, isn't it? So that's not ideal. And also, does it not cause an error for kubectl or apply?
So if we do not make it immutable, what are the things? Why are we trying to like make it immutable again?
I think you had it on the Open API spec, right? So you marked it as immutable there.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm just discussing if we can, if there's a like, if it is not needed, we can make it mutable, so that users do not need to like recreate it.
Yeah, I think what we need to consider here is, so I think this ties back to our discussion earlier today, that label selector versus array of namespaces as per the CAPC design. So the original Kappa multi-tenancy design was around using namespace selectors, so label selectors, and if we only support listed namespaces and the default is nothing, then basically the cluster will break on upgrade. Well, I mean, it's not that it will break on upgrade, but will stop. Kappa will basically refuse to do anything on upgrade, which is interesting.
Yeah, but since in the infrastructure YAML we will add an empty allowed namespaces, which will allow all the namespaces, then nothing will break. So
but
we are
every
not
time,
actually.
But then every time they're doing, say the user then restricts the namespaces, and then they apply they upgrade the infrastructure components, and the infrastructure components defaults back to all namespaces, that basically we break the security every upgrade, which is not ideal.
Yeah, how about a custom block there? If if there are if the scope of the allowed namespaces is less than all namespaces, do not allow it to switch to all namespaces, like increasing the allowed namespace scope. Maybe to custom.
It puts a lot of, again, we run into the issue of inferring customer intent in the controller when it comes to security, which is less than ideal. We should never be magical when it comes to security. I think we need some further thought on this, don't we?
Okay, so yeah, let's do it like it for now and see if there are any other comments from maybe Andrew, who started the PR. We may get more comments.
Maybe. All right.
Yeah, also I want to discuss one thing regarding caching the providers. So currently in multi-tenancy proposal, we want to cache the providers so that we do not make the calls every time we want to create a session. But so the way we are allowing chaining in the new multi-tenancy, for example, we may use a role that is assumed by another role that is assumed by, say, a static principle. So this is a chain, right? So I mean, it is not very easy to make the retrieve operation to know what is the next previous step in the chain. So that's why caching automatically triggering that process is looks a bit challenging as far as I see. I will look into it a bit more. Yeah.
Yeah, you might need to make each principal know its position in the cache.
Yeah.
So it can self-update its own cache position.
Or we can just do it ourselves. We can take that responsibility in the controller so that if a provider is expired, we just recreate those providers because we know the chain already.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'll try. Yeah, I will try that. But I mean, there's a tricky piece there about using AWS's automatic like retrieve and is expired logic is not very suitable for ordered chaining.
Yeah, agree. Might be also, you might want to look at like KIAM, or I don't think they do the full chaining, but they do some elements of this. There might be some prior art in some of the other projects that do similar things to this.
Okay, yeah, I'll check out.
A stupid question. Has anything changed in the V2 SDK around the credentials and the session in the AWS SDK?
I hope not too much. It should be mostly the same, because the proposal I wrote actually based on the Ruby version, which I've done before. So they tend to have a common approach across all of the SDKs.
Cool.
So it shouldn't be a massive change. Actually, you raised the V2 issue. Do you want to just talk to that slightly? What we get from that?
I guess the main thing. Well, the main thing is you can just obviously import the service that you want, only the services you want, and only get those included in the binary. The big downside is they haven't included any interfaces, or each service has an iFace in the V1 SDK, so they haven't published those in V2. So if you want to use interface-based programming like we do, and inject, for testing mocks and all those type of things, you have to create those interfaces yourself at the moment. There's an open issue. There's an open issue, and they're like, "Oh no, we don't want to do that. If you want to use interfaces, then you just create an interface with only the methods you want." something along those lines. So
That's really funny because that's exactly what we did. And like, if you look at the first few hundred commits of Kappa, that's exactly what we did.
is it?
Yeah. And then we ripped it out for V1 Alpha 2 because we became lazy.
I guess there's some other stuff in there as well. I can't remember what I put in the issue, to be honest. Yeah, it's just our usual. Less having to use the AWS.string type thing for the pointers and all that, which helps.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, we should get around to it eventually. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, there are CLIs that we could point it at, you know, the services, and it will generate the interfaces for us, and then we could just, you know, cull it a bit if we went down that route, so it wouldn't be too onerous.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's explore that. I don't know, maybe V1 Alpha, that's a V1 Alpha 4 thing, isn't it? Yeah. I guess the V1 SDK is not going anywhere anytime soon anyway.
I can't. Yeah, I guess there's got to be some sort of support life cycle on there, hasn't there?
Yeah.
You'd hope.
All right, cool. Come to the end of the agenda. Is there a only action item? I mean, Richard's gonna ongoing diagnosing ETB test failures. I will join in once I've freed up some other bits and pieces. I still need to create an open issue for the AMI CRD. I'm actually starting to have some conversations at VMware about what, like, use case and stuff, which will help inform that. Yeah.
I said the only thing I had to catch up with Mike earlier in the week. So I know he's going to be working on adding support for Fargate. So there'll be like a AWS Fargate pool or something. So you can then spin up EKS clusters with, you know, the managed machine pools and the Fargate as well. So that's sort of like burst, I don't know, compute or something, which would be quite interesting. Yeah, bending it a bit, but could be quite cool.
Yeah. I have no idea how Kappa gets involved in any of that, but that'd be intriguing to see. So is it going to be a sort of a variation of machine pool somehow?
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how does that work in terms of, like, because I thought you'd spin up a Fargate for every pod rather than like a node, or is that not?
Yeah, you basically do, don't you? But it's exposed as is it a virtual kubelet?
Yeah.
But yeah, but underneath it, yeah, you get a Fargate instance per pod, don't you? The equivalent of.
So it's like a Fargate pool to represent like the Fargate provisioning thing.
Yeah.
But we don't care about the individual Fargate pod.
No, you create a profile and say, yeah, this is, you know, yeah, and you attach it and say these are the like the specs, and then but it will just run whatever is required. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Yes, I think we have a similar concept in vSphere. So in vSphere 7, we have the Spherelet and pod VMs that do the same thing. So yeah. So I think it's similar.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Makes sense. All right. That's all. Call it a day.
Cool.
Right. Thanks.
Yeah.
That's all.
Speak to you soon.
Bye.
Okay.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.